What is up, my fabulous fog fiends? I recently finished a playthrough of the first Silent Hill game, and it got me thinking about the movie from 2006. So let's talk about it. The movie opens on a horrendous shriek as parents Rose and Chris are frantically searching for their daughter, Sharon. See, the kid has been having night terrors about a town called Silent Hill that, as far as they know, none of them have ever been to or heard of. Rose chases after her daughter for what feels like several miles. Like, I'm pretty sure the girl went to the wrong side of town and is now firmly in the hood. How long has this been going on for? After the third time, you'd think you'd invest in some safeguards like a child-sized leash or a security cage, but I don't know. Eventually, Rose catches up with Sharon as she looks like she's about to jump off a waterfall. She tackles her daughter like a linebacker in front of an ominous burning cross. I guess the clan was having a meetup nearby, and now Sharon begins shrieking like a banshee going on about Silent Hill. Meanwhile, Papa Sean Bean is playing Frogger across a highway, which is ironic because this is one of the few movies where he doesn't tragically die. Now that the family is all reunited, they console her in the best way they know how, by seeing who can awkwardly touch her face the most. Cut to the title card. Then we get a scene of Sharon showing off her terrible art. Rose tolerates it briefly before changing the subject. They'll be going on a secret road trip without Dad. Papa Bean is back at home, rightfully concerned over the disappearance of his wife and daughter. He starts Googling Silent Hill, and surprisingly, the top result isn't Pyramid Head hentai. Can we just appreciate how simple Google used to be, without all the sponsored junk and AI slop? Pour one out for a fallen homie. Truly tragic. Cut back to the girls, and we see they've stopped to get some gas and directions. Here we are first introduced to Sybil, the hot cop lady. Now, Sybil is immediately suspicious and pulls them over only a few miles later down the road, to which Rose has a reasonable reaction and decides to just run for it. They almost got away scot-free until the sad girl pop screeching on the radio gets interrupted by a jaywalking apparition. Rather than face even more possible charges, Rose swerves to avoid the child in the road, which then causes her to crash the car. Women drivers. A short while later, Rose wakes up in her Jeep and Sharon is gone. Bum bum bum. Get used to people constantly shouting Sharon for the remainder of the film. This is worse than an episode of The Osbournes. But anyway, Rose wanders her happy ass further into town. This, friends, is the famous Silent Hill, where nightmares come true. I want to stop here and appreciate how beautiful this all looks. The sets do a wonderful job of capturing the bleak hopelessness of the games. I think overall they did a lovely job of conveying the essence. Like, some of the story elements have been changed, but everything just feels so right. And after wandering and screaming for a bit, Rose catches sight of someone. She proceeds to give chase in the weirdest arm-flailing manner. This kid should be a track star. She's hoofing it all across town. It's at this point I would seriously consider just giving up and making a new child. But Sharon was adopted, so that might not even be an option. We then hear the sirens for the first time, and onward into the dark abyss she goes. Luckily, she thought to bring a Zippo and lights her way forward. After meandering in the dark for a while, she comes across this kinky freak. Suddenly, she's attacked by the worst thing imaginable. Children. She's then swarmed by more of the foul creatures. Not wanting to breastfeed the toothless abominations, she soon passes out. Like that's gonna stop them. Later, she awakens in an only slightly dingier than usual bowling alley. Not wanting to wait around for the crotch goblins to reappear, she hightails it out of there. Unable to leave the town since the roads got stolen. Dang, who knew Silent Hill was in the ghetto? It's here that we're introduced to Dahlia Gillespie, a vagrant who mistakes the photo of Sharon for her own daughter. How odd. Not wanting to give the homeless woman any spare change, Rose soon departs. She makes her way back to the crashed Jeep. Here she finds a clue to the possible whereabouts of the child. Seems like the brat is on her way to the school. Okay, one thing I have to point out, because it's possibly the oddest thing in the film. Who puts the window controls on the center console? That's just absurd. I have a 2008 Jeep Liberty, which is the more boxy version, so I'm glad I don't have to deal with this nonsense. Anyway, back to the movie. She finds her cell phone and tries to make a call, but there's something wrong with the cell towers. She must have Sprint. Also, the Jeep won't start. It's here where she's reunited with friendly Officer Sybil, who offers her some help. Sybil's radio is also not working. This leaves the two returning to town on foot. They're then approached by this gaping butthole monster, who doesn't cover his mouth when he sneezes. Yeah, I'm gonna say that's a sneeze. Sybil's academy training kicks in, and she lights him up. This gives Rose a chance to escape. She is still handcuffed, however, so that'll become a problem. Rose makes her way to the elementary school. I mean, what kind of nerd runs away and goes to school? To each their own, I guess. Rose notices a sigil on the door of the school that reminds me of the symbol Prince used for a while. I'll bet Purple Rain is featured heavily in the curriculum here, as it should be. In one of the classrooms, she finds some fresh handprints on a desk. Inside that desk, there's some more terrible art. However, this time the name on the book is Alessa Gillespie. Could that be the daughter of the homeless woman? We get a flashback of a classroom of children doing a team building exercise by bullying one of the girls and chanting, "Burn the witch." School hasn't really changed much, has it? A child is then spotted running through the halls. Is it Sharon, or could it be Alessa? Either way, Rose gives chase and ends up in a bathroom. Unwilling to let the child have a dukes in peace, Rose starts checking the stalls. All seem empty until we encounter this fella. Rose does the sensible thing and starts digging around in its mouth. She finds something. What the hell even is that? With her new cereal box toy, she makes a break for it and encounters this guy, who's one of the locals in a miner's outfit. She abandons her escape plan and locks herself in the bathroom. Wasn't there just something scary in here? I'm sure it won't be a problem. The miners notice their little bird friend is having a conniption and decide to fuck off. Then we hear the sirens again, and if you can believe it, the bathroom starts getting even grosser. It's at this point our sleeping bathroom friend wakes up and starts coming after Rose. She doesn't seem too keen to get to know him more than she already has, so she runs off into the nightmare version of the school. In one of the hallways, we see the miner dudes from earlier, but they're getting eaten by bugs. So are they not part of the spookies going on? After more running around and screaming, she spots the child in the purple dress again. Rose is so terrified of the child's terrible art, she falls out of a window. After coming to in a puddle of rainwater, we get our first glimpse of a Silent Hill franchise favorite, Daddy. I mean, Pyramid Head. Rose, however, doesn't stick around to get his number. She runs on and meets up with her old pal Sybil. The two find a room to hide in when Sybil starts making bedroom eyes at Rose. Unfortunately, they're soon interrupted by some phallic imagery. Much screaming ensues as Pyramid Head tries to forcibly get in on the action. Sybil, not wanting to share, once again puts her training to use and lights Pyramid Head up. Then, for seemingly no reason, everything just starts going back to normal. The two then decide to team up to find the girl. Apparently, the thing Rose pulled out of the kinky freak's mouth was a clue to the possible whereabouts of her daughter. The two ladies make their way to the abandoned hotel, where they meet Anna, practicing a Christian tradition of being judgmental towards those that are different. She's throwing rocks at Dahlia, the creepy vagrant from earlier. Dahlia says some vague nonsense and scuttles off. Turns out Anna was on a scavenging mission to procure food for the other people living here in Silent Hill. So there are people living here? She's also good for expository dialogue. She clarifies that Dahlia was cast out of the weirdo cult Anna belongs to. The three now continue exploring the hotel, Scooby-Doo fashion. They come across a secret room and, for seemingly no reason, decide to parkour through a hole in the wall over to the next building. Rose once again spots the girl in the purple dress and notices she looks very similar to Sharon. The kid shows off a sick magic trick and disappears. The girls get frightened and make a run for it. Pretty good timing too, because once again the sirens start blaring. Anna leads them to the church, which is fortunate because a sermon is about to start. Sadly, Anna gets a little too caught up chit-chatting with Dahlia, and the darkness catches up with her. Pyramid Head straight up rips her skin off. It's brutal, and it's awesome. Now, safe inside the church, the girls meet the rest of the creepy cult, who reluctantly agree to take them to the core of the darkness where the demon lies, which turns out is just the old hospital. The lads in the old-timey gimp suits pry open the elevator, and everything's going pretty smoothly until the church lady... Did we ever get her name? Doesn't matter. She notices the photo in the locket looks awfully familiar. She then goes full Dio, throws up the devil horns, and starts calling Rose a witch. Sybil pushes Rose into the elevator and stands her ground to defend Rose from the crazy cultists. Sybil puts up a hell of a fight, but unfortunately she's out of ammo and outnumbered. They beat the living shit out of her, and honestly it's a little hard to watch. Rose is now alone on the bottom floor of this hellish hospital. Luckily, she memorized the floor plan and knows where to go next. Until she comes across the sexy Silent Hill nurses. Now, look, if Pyramid Head doesn't do for you, these ladies will. Silent Hill's got something for everybody. Well, at least every degenerate. Speaking of which, if you are also a degenerate, you should consider subscribing to my channel. I do Let's Plays, and lately I've been on a retro horror kick. I also plan on doing more movie reviews relating to the games that I play. Rose figures out that if she turns off her flashlight, she can sneak past the nurses. When she reaches the final boss room, she's greeted with a white light and a lot of exposition. Alessa was bullied in school, and something went down with a janitor, making her impure. The cult people decided to do a ritual to restore her innocence and purity. And by that, I mean they toasted her like a marshmallow. Someone forgot to flip her over when she was done, and the fire got out of control. This was the fire mentioned earlier that is still burning under the town to this day. All of Alessa's fear and hate began to change the town. That's when the evil entity was born. The evil girl promised to make the townspeople pay for what they've done to Alessa. They also kind of separated her into two entities. The dark part stayed in Silent Hill, and all the goodness she had created Sharon, who was taken to an orphanage to be adopted and eventually leave the town. Now that she's returned, the two entities can join and get their revenge on the cultists. They just need a little help from Rose. See, they're unable to enter the church, but Rose can. The dark entity enters Rose's body like a demonic possession. We cut back to the church, where the congregation is setting up another holy barbecue. They found Sharon and have Sybil tied up to a strange ladder contraption that lowers her onto the fire. Damn, she really can't catch a break. Up next is Sharon. That is until Rose walks in. She gives a touching speech. Unfortunately for her, church cult lady prefers to solve things with a more delicate touch and stabs her. And just like that, a little drop of blood is all that is needed to unleash the darkness within the church. Somehow, Rose is still alive and just bleeding all over the place. Her blood changes the inside of the church to a nightmare version. Evil Alessa, in her hospital bed with barbed wire tentacles, emerges from the floor and just starts massacring all the people. After all the killing is done, time skips forward a bit. As Rose and Sharon leave the church, Dahlia asks why it didn't kill her, to which Rose quotes the crow, "Because you're her mother. Mother is God in the eyes of a child." Our girls finally make it back home, but something seems off. Rose, Sharon, and Papa Bean are all in the same room, but they don't seem to be able to see each other. So, did they really leave Silent Hill at all? So, I really love this movie. I first saw it shortly after it came out, and it was before I had even played any of the games. Now, I'm not delusional enough to think that it's a masterpiece. I know it's more of a mashup of themes and concepts from the first two games. But you gotta understand, at the time it came out, an adaptation of a video game that actually respected the source material and was pretty good. That was unusual. Now, I'm aware of two more movies that are out there, and I've heard they're not very good. I haven't seen them. So let me know if you'd like me to review those also. But that's my time. Thank you for watching, and as always, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.